Welcome to WagerTalk TV. I am Kelly Stewart, joined by Dave Koken at Dave Koken on Twitter and Adam Trigger at Top Flight SI. Today we are talking Wake Forest versus Army. Now, this is going to be a pretty fun one. I know Adam's going to be going to the game, but Adam, I have a question for Dave first. This one opened Wake a 3.5-point favorite, now down to 3. We know that line move in the NFL is significant. What do you buy into it in terms of college football?
Not as much, even on a key number. I think it's just a little more market support for Army, which is kind of a regular thing because the Cadets have been consistently really good as underdogs. This coach has done a phenomenal job with this team. And this is a game where I do a lean list every week. I have a big card this week. I'm involved in 8 games, but I also publish a lean list. These are games that didn't quite make the card for one reason or another. And Army's one of the teams that was on the lean list this week. And to talk about the game itself, I think it's a good matchup for the Cadets, and I think that's why they're getting some support at the windows. They obviously run the ball in that option extremely well. They're just an incredibly disciplined football team. Their coach, talk about a perfect fit for a program. Monken's been incredible at Army. That was just an absolutely awful program when he took them over. They were hopeless. The only game that was of interest at each year was the game against Navy, where they'd kind of hang around and be competitive. But Navy was always the better program. Not the case anymore. I mean, Army's a legit team, and they showed it again last week at Wisconsin. I mean, they were right in that football game. I would take Army here, but the scheduling dynamics do play into this one. Wake Forest did not have to play last week. And although I don't think this is by no means the biggest game in their schedule. It's a non-conference game, and right now their sights are set on something big in the ACC. They still have had an extra week to prep for an option attack that they wouldn't otherwise be seeing, and I think that's an advantage for Wake Forest. Nevertheless, from a matchup standpoint, we know what Army's going to do. Even without Anderson at quarterback, who is a little more of a throwing threat, they're going to run the ball, and they're going to run the option. And Wake Forest is going to have to find a way to defend it. And they're really not a great team against the run. In fact, I think, to be honest, while Wake Forest is having a heck of a year under Clawson, they're unbeaten. I think they're a little bit overrated. They've been outgamed in each of their last 3 games and managed to win them. They weren't blown out on the stats, but they did lose the stats and found ways to win games. I think Army's going to win. The only thing that prevents me from betting it is the scheduling dynamics that kept it on the lean list. But I would not recommend going against the Cadets here.
Dave, I'm with you. I think Army will make my card for several of the reasons what you just said. But Adam, do you agree with Dave that this Wake Forest team just kind of came out of nowhere this year, at least in terms of my initial thoughts on them? So now that they are undefeated, here they are in contention for the ACC title game. If they can stay that way, maybe this is just kind of one of those look-ahead spots. They don't quite think that they can they maybe are more arrogant to think that they can just get right past Army and move on to the next game.
Yeah, well, you're right, Kel. I'm in a group chat right now with a couple of my buddies. We're going to buy tickets to this game. West Point, exactly a 2-hour drive from Schenectady. Michie Stadium, really cool venue. So hopefully we'll end up there on Saturday for the game. I think Wake Forest is a little bit overrated. They are 6-0. Their 6 wins right now are 2 cupcakes and 4 relatively average ACC teams. So I know they have that number 16 next to their ranking as the 16th best team in the country. I don't know that I buy that they're the 16th best ranked team or 16th best team in the country. And in fact, I think Army's opponent last week, Wisconsin, is a much better team than Wake Forest. I agree with a lot of what Dave said, and he's right. The Wake Forest run defense, not very good. Syracuse ran for 354 yards on Wake Forest, and Louisville put up over 200 the week before that. We know Army's going to run the ball. So if they can run, we talked about Air Force BYU Air Force Boise State last week. If Army can run successfully, they're going to be able to move the ball. They're going to be right in this game. Army's really good defensively. I thought their defense played outstanding last week against Wisconsin. That was a 13-7 game. Army got the ball back and got a first down, I think, with 4 minutes left before they fumbled. They were right in that game with Wisconsin. The Ball State game was a little bit weird. I feel like maybe Army was looking ahead to Wisconsin a little bit. But this Army team can defend. If they can find a way to move the chains here, I think they're going to be right in this game. And it is a tricky spot for Wake Forest. It's a weird trip up to New York, a noon kickoff. I like Army here. I think they're underrated, and I definitely would look to take the 3 points in this game.
Thank you to Adam and Dave, both over at WagerTalk.com. You can head over to the WagerTalk YouTube channel and check out all of our other videos as well.